I know you waited a long time since the last video, but I can promise you that you won't need to wait that long for part 2. Yeah, it's DIZE here and welcome back to the second part of the park build. In this part we will finish the park, but we still have a lot to do. Just like in the last episode, I will go over everything I added and how I built it, but without further ado, let's go. So first of all, I noticed that I made the park a bit too wide and also too long, which I will fix later on. So yeah, I just made the 3 block a bit thinner. Next, I started to work on that weird pyramid they have in the park, and let's just say I wasted over 1 hour to get this done, looking good and skatable. So here's just the finished result made of many small pads. After this, I tried to make the ramp on the other side, but had a little problem since none of the default ramps had the right size for it. I kinda needed something in the middle, but then had the problem of how I will do this corner hip. And first I had the idea to maybe use something that is triangle shaped, and that's when I remembered this piece, which is absolutely perfect for making custom corner hips. So yeah, I just had to add 1 more double ramp on top to fill the gap, and it worked out super well. It skates good and it looks also super nice in my opinion. Following on, I added a ledge, which is pretty much an exact copy of the other ledge from part 1. Some wall pieces became handy for making the small quarter pipe, and the top of the curved ledges made up this small manual pad. The only problem was that the size did not look correct, so I first made the quarter pipe a bit wider and then needed to come up with a good way of making this ramp thinner. In the end, I used a bunch of hovers for the transition, which works out pretty good. Afterwards, I had to build this small house they have in this park. For this I just used a bunch of these waved pads, cause the side of it is actually wide, and on top I added some rails. Now there's this railing on top, and for that I just used some bent power rails. The window was made using 2 Edward signs and 1 more wavy pad to cover up the bottom of it. I also added this curved pad underneath the window for more detail. On top of the bend poles I then added some long rails, which I will need to cover up later on, cause they are way too long for this. Some more adjusting of the size of the park, a few Edward stands and some rails for this box on the wall. Next I used these big art gallery pieces to make a good blue texture for the top part of the park, and then I started making the roof. For the roof I basically just used some dark brown colored wood pads, and I also had to add this pad in between the pads and the wall just to make it look exactly right. The park also has these weird suspensions on the wall, which I just made out of 2 rails. After this I start to make all these suspension rails underneath the roof, but then noticed that the park is also too long. Yeah, good job DIZE. So here you can see me struggling to move the whole back of the park. Super fun. Continuing on with the rails, I think I'm just gonna skip this and show you the end result, cause it's just a bunch of rails, nothing special, but it took super long. But yeah, the end result looks pretty good in my opinion. Now I then just noticed that there is also this back part of the park with a smaller room which just has a quarter pipe and a mini ramp inside it. So I used many round wall pieces to make this square door right here, which is pretty much a waste of terrain, but hey, it looks good and it works. So next I shaped the second room with more wall pieces and just copied the big wall right quarter pipe over here. As of right now there seems to be just these big wooden walls on this side, so I also just remade that and added a roof later on. The mini ramp is also quite basic, just some ramp pieces with some small pads for the extensions and some rails and pads to cover up the top and the side of the ramp. Following on, I then tried to add a lot of detail to the park by adding these window blinds, the big entrance door with the smaller door on the side, these two small kicker ramps made of wall pieces, more wood on top of the house to cover up the rails I made earlier. I also added these blue pads right here since they have a big blue mattress right here in real life. And finally I used some curved manual pads combined with some advert signs and some rails for this small bench at the entrance. And I also used another wall piece with two rails right here for a small garbage can. And yeah, now the park is pretty much finished. I will just add some more props and then make a little small montage to show you the finished park. So, I hope you enjoyed this park build. I really like this park. I think it came out super well. It took me around 12 to 13 hours to build this, just because I really wanted to be perfect. But yeah, in the next video I will probably do something like a game of skate here or a challenge video. Maybe you have some suggestions what to do with this park? Leave a comment down below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more Skate 3 videos. Also, be sure to check out my Twitter, Instagram and Discord if you want to talk to me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!